Rahul back. This is Aken here to answer your 3 questions that you have submitted. Remember, anyone who would like to ask 3 questions, you can film yourself on your mobile. Try and make it as good a quality as you can possibly make it, and then submit your 3 questions that you filmed to osmvision.wetransfer.com. All right. I'm always excited to hear what the new questions are. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Rabobat, greetings. My name is José Otep Matabel. I'm from Mozambique and I'm speaking from Lusaka, Zambia. And I joined Wu-Sabat in September this year. And I have 3 questions that I would like to ask for clarity. Number 1, over time, I developed this habit of praying internally, make internal prayers or in specific situations, especially mechanically, like in the morning, waking up, before sleeping, or during the day, specific time. And I know that within the culture, we should do the chanting, the meditations, 9 p.m. What I would like to know is the question. Putting the chanting and the meditation aside, as a Sabian, should I pray or not? Or I would ask like this, how do I express gratitude throughout the day as I'm doing my daily activities? This is the first question.
Okay, so wow, Mozambique in the house. We're reaching the world, Wu-Sabat to the world. So thank you for your question. And you only joined in September and already you're doing your chants and everything. That's amazing. Yeah, so in terms of we're not going to put the chants aside, and the way you said putting that aside. If you read the chants and translate what you're saying in Miss Batia, all the chants, depending on how many you're saying, because there are different chants and they actually cover, praying, gratitude, asking for assistance from our ancestors. So we can't put away the chant. And the meditation is a time for you where you're connecting with specific ancestors, or you're the middle or the mediation between the higher realms, the higher vibrations or beings on those higher realms, who could be your ancestors or other beings that have elevated to that level. And so you're the mediation or the medium. That's what you're doing. Medium is like you're connecting by way of your mind and by kind of putting a pause on the conscious mind and tapping in, beyond that, and being able to put your body aside. So those have to be done. However, in terms of prayer, we have to say prayer is really communicating, such as is meditation as well. The difference between the two is that meditation is more about you listening and not talking. And by listening and not talking, you're receiving information, which becomes information from your ancestors, from the beings, as I mentioned before. Whereas prayer, as you have been taught by way of religion, which is really a religious thing, is you talking and really not listening. So in the religious connotation, a lot of people will just sit down and just be talking in their mind and saying, can I have this? Can I have that? God, can you help me with this? God, can you help me with that? Allah, help me with this. And it's more like you're begging and you don't actually know who you're communicating with. So although in Wu-Sabat, we went through different, metamorphosis of prayer. And we had this, which was called the Nawapian Taful. And Taful was the word for prayer. And then it got upgraded by the master teacher in terms of the tones, vibration, and the languages to Tafulat. And then it also moved on to being Ashutat. So what I want to also show you, if I may, is that the prayer system, as in the positions that you find in, say, even in Islam, were all taken from ancient Egypt or ancient Tamaray, which you can find in or on the walls of Egypt. If I can just find that for you. So prayer is something that we utilized in the past. Oh, here we go. Right, we utilized in the past, and you can still do now. So if you look at when you're going through the prayers in Islam, right, you see that these are all found on the walls of Egypt. Yeah, the positions of prayer that you see being done in Islam, in the mosques. And I'm saying that to tell you that all of this were practices that our ancestors did. But in religion, you have to ask yourself, why are you praying? Who are you talking to? And some people need that. They need to connect with themselves, really, because you're really speaking to yourself when you're talking. And you're talking inwards, and then you're reflecting. So yes, it's a thing where if you need to, if you feel to pray, you can pray. But you have to be able to know who you're praying to. And like, it's a communication, it's a two-way thing. And are you going to receive any response? And if the response is going to be from yourself, because you're actually tuning into yourself and praying to yourself, you're the person that is going to actually give you what you want. So, you know, the way religion teaches prayer is like, you think that you're talking to somebody or something externally that's going to give you or do for you what you can do for yourself. This is why when we say that you are God or goddess, that the helping hand that you're looking for is at the end of your own arm. So not everybody needs to, but if you feel the need to, you can do it. And if you want to do it based on our culture, then we have those scrolls that teach you about, you know, what prayer is. Meditation is, as I said, the opposite of talking and begging and asking for something. And gratitude is something that when remember, you have a radio in your head, so you can always give thanks. You can always be appreciative. And the chants, you're giving gratitude through there as well. So yes, it's something that you should practice, because sometimes we get caught up with the things we don't have and we take for granted the fact that you might be able to move your little finger, as silly as that might sound, or your little toe. If you didn't have that finger, you see how your hand becomes hard to use. So the little things, like the fact that you wake up and you're still here, you still have another chance to improve yourself, to perfect yourself. The air that we breathe, you know, the fact that we're standing on the floor, most people take it for granted because you could fall off the floor, meaning that if you're not able to stand and you're not able to utilize the floor, then, so yeah, you should give gratitude all the time. And it's a mental projection, because your thoughts, they have a vibration that, you know, that is transcending people, places and things as well. All right, hope that's helped you with the prayer question. Let's move on to the second question.
Question number 2, and the reason why I'm asking this question is because I've been receiving signals from within ever since, as much as I can remember. And for some time now, over a decade, that I'm seeking for knowledge, for spiritual experiences, in order to establish effective communications within with our ancestors or inspiration. If it's not the same thing, you also can clarify that. The question is, how does the Ancestry communication channel works? Is visual, is audio, auditory, is kinesthetic, kinesthesia, or something else? How does it work?
Okay, so the second question is, how does the communication work with communicating with your ancestors? It's all of the above. It's visual, because we teach and give you the process, which is to have an altar and have their picture, the person you want to communicate with, that is. And there's a whole process where you will turn down other pictures on your altar and then use sage to clean out the room of any other entities or spirits that are in the room that you would like to not get distracted by. And then, yes, you would speak to them normally, looking at their picture. You would speak to them normally and just have a one-to-one communication. And because it's all energy, remember, everything is a vibration. So you're connected to them by way of yourself being from that bloodline. So you're connected to them physically, you're connected to them spiritually, and you're now tuning in to them or to one of your ancestors specifically to have that communication with. And there are different states or levels to where you could even be able to manifest them, physically in your presence, by way of them personifying. So it's all three methods, as you say. It's all using your touch, your senses basically, and your mind, and you're able to visualize them because you have a mind's eye as well as having their picture on your altar. So it's all three. So you tune in, and after a while, you hear the voices, you start to recognize, if you know who your ancestors are, because one of the things we encourage people to do is to have a family tree based on those 30 or 29 or less personalities within your matrix, because you have to subtract yourself being alive from the 30, which make up the 4 generations, and then they have their 30. So you're hearing a lot of different voices, and some are agreeable, some are disagreeable, and you have to tune in to the right ones, the ones that are guiding you and telling you what to do. Over time, you'll be able to recognize and know your own voice that is separate from the other voices, and you will know the ones that are guiding you to do what's agreeable and the ones that are trying to influence you to do that which is disagreeable. And if you're able to map them out in your family tree based on that, that diagram we show you of the 30 personalities, and then learning and knowing about who they are. If you have relatives or other people who knew them that can tell you about them, what they liked, what they used to do, what was their job. There's so much that you can learn about each one, and then when you get certain urges to do certain things that are not you, then you'll be able to, recognize, oh, it might be, uncle such and such. Okay. And the last question.
Last but not least, question number 3, I would like to know what is the specific source of protein through the alkaline diet, vegetarian diet or vegan diet. What is the specific source of protein? Because I'm 190 and 105 kilos, I would like to maintain my stature. So I would like to know, changing my diet, what is the specific source of protein on alkaline diet?
Okay, yeah. So the question is source of protein. You don't get protein from just one source. This question comes up a lot because people, like he says, is quite built, have muscles. People that want to switch and go to a vegan diet, they think that they're not going to get enough protein because protein will help them to build muscle and stay big and maintain that stature that he has. And one of the movies that I will recommend, we're not sponsored or paid by them at all, but there's a Netflix movie or series. Yes, a movie called The Game Changers, which really goes into the scientific aspects of how, you go from being a meat eater to being a vegan and to still remain and maintain your weight and they speak to different athletes. They speak to they speak to like bodybuilders. They speak to many people in that show, because if there is a misconception that, you know, being a vegan or a vegetarian means that you're not going to have enough protein. And when you look at the biggest mammals on the planet, they are like herbivores. They're not meat eaters. And so the protein that many people are getting from the meat is the protein that the animal got from eating vegetation and herbs. So you're actually getting second-hand protein when you're still eating meat. So by changing your diet, what you have to do is learn how to supplement things that you were getting from, you know, the meat. So if you need more protein, then you look at the many sources of protein, and you can get lots of pulses, beans, you know, vegetables that give you protein. And so, yeah, it's a misconception that you're not going to have enough protein. I definitely recommend the Game Changers on Netflix, that they talk to so many athletes, and when they went plant-based and didn't eat any source of meat, and they'd actually carry out experiments showing you what happens when, you know, they gave like 3 different people 3 different diets, and one was like a vegan, one was a vegetarian, and one was a, you know, one that contained meat. And they do a blood analysis, everything, to show you the effects that it has on you. So you can get protein from many different sources and not just one source. But of course you can, kale is a very good source. I'm just trying to, yeah, actually there's a chef that we have in our community, in our family. And, you know, she recommends, and we're going to be maybe putting out some information regarding, you know, her recommendations of what she cooks and how she, you know, prepares meals, etc. So look out for that. Okay, so I hope that's helped you with those 3 questions. Remember, anybody else, if you would like to send us your 3 questions, film yourself with your mobile like this, and as best quality as you can, good lighting, and then upload those videos or the video of your 3 questions to osmvision.wetransfer.com, and we will get those questions answered for you. Until the next time, Wadu.